so far? Is this helpful? Okay, so I'm going to just share a couple other cases that we're doing. This is one that we just finished. One of our co-authors is here. And all the same theories apply as climate, right? So as we start looking at companies, it's like, okay, let's try to discern some things, right? And one of the reasons we did the SUSTEC case is once we understood what was really going on at Quanta with OLPC, like we have to write a case on this thing, right? Because then it was actually very, very interesting because it, exploring from a competitive point of view, really informs a lot of stuff, right? And the question in the SUSTEC case, maybe you'll all be enthusiastic and pound and chase these off and say, I have to have a copy of this case. Okay. Well, the EPC disrupted SUSTEC's mainstream Wintel notebook business. They know of the risks, they don't think so. What do you think?
According to the theory, the will disrupt eventually.
Yeah, eventually. It's a question of time. I think it's very interesting. Intel now has a new Atom processor, which they're selling for the new EPC. Okay, it costs $25 instead of, about $85 for a typical Intel processor average. Right, much, much cheaper. Okay, and you hear that a SUSTEC can't get enough Atom processors. Now, Intel is not worried about Atom disrupting Centrino. If I were them, I would be. Because, I have a dual core, what's in here? Centrino dual. And, quite frankly, I can't tell that it's any faster than my Pentium M or whatever I had last, especially when I'm doing Microsoft Word. Do you think it's overserved me? So, it's interesting when you have the perspective of theory, how you can apply it. My ambition for this talk tonight is that you will leave here saying, I'm going to apply theory to everything I see. Right? That can be dangerous when you go home. So, but anyways, we did another case on Shimei Optoelectronics, which I just taught this case in June. Very interesting case of organizational transition. You all are blessed here with having really interesting companies. Right? Shimei Optoelectronics moved from commodity petrochemicals to high-tech TFT LCD. How do you do that? Right? Actually, our protagonists in the case were Dr. Wu, okay, and Mr. Ho, who's president of Shimei Optoelectronics. And to hear them talk about it, it's like, well, 1997 Asian economic crisis. We were sitting around and saying, here's Taiwan, we have no oil. Yeah, so they were making plastics that all come from oil. We have no oil, we have no large domestic market. Why are we in the petrochemical business? Of course, they were making lots of money in the petrochemical business. We need to go into high tech. Doesn't matter what. That's what he says. Doesn't matter what. Let's pick LCDs, TFT LCDs. That's not easy to do, right? So what we're interested in is like, can we learn anything from looking at how a company like this does something like that? And at first, and we still haven't been able to verify this yet, but what this is profitability of the TFT LCD business. Up and down, they go anywhere from making lots of money to losing lots of money. Actually, it looks just like the DRAM business. Maybe not quite as scary as the DRAM business, but actually, once we started doing the case research and piecing this together, one of the key things we learned is what's the difference between this and the DRAM business, right? And how do you play in a game like this? And actually, if you think about it, they won't admit this, but I'm convinced it's true. Although it's only a descriptive theory, it is not prescriptive yet. Okay, I would argue one of the most volatile businesses around is petrochemicals. Okay, so I would argue that they learned how to make investments in the petrochemical business. Sorry, they learned how to make investments in petrochemical business. That skill actually was very useful in LCDs. We don't know that yet. There's just a correlation, but it's not a prescriptive theory. very interesting business. Actually, in 10 years, they've gone from nowhere to 2007. This was a 300 billion NT business growing at 49 to 62% per year. That's impressive. And these guys are good. They're really good. Very impressive business. You know, and they basically bet on flat panel TVs becoming good enough and overtaking CRT. So very interesting. They made a lot of money. Actually, as we researched the case, because you know we approached this case saying, I don't know what's in here, but we wanted to find out how does this company work. Okay, and what we found is a couple of very interesting things. Very empowering work environment where they were able to attract best people, high trust, respect. Okay, very, you know, the founder, she, very distributed management system, pushed the power outward. There are a lot of learnings on this. A stable investor with a long-term outlook. They had a lot of profits from the chemical business. Their decision-making model was really collecting a wide funnel of ideas from a lot of people, a lot of organizations in the industry. You know, so there's, you know, a lot of good lessons learned from a case like this. We don't have any theories based on it yet because we have to go look at other LCD makers. Right? And here the challenge is you'd also have to look at Samsung. You'd also have to look at, you know, LG, LCD. They had this mentality of experimentation. Actually, if you talk to President Ho, the great breakthrough for Chime and petrochemicals was because they were willing to take risks and do experimentation on process lines and learn how to improve their processes. And they brought that skill to the LCD business. Were they risk takers? You know, LCD business, among the scariest businesses out there would be selling stock short DRAM LCDs, in my opinion. Those are really, you know, but these guys manage risk extremely well. So, you know, there's a lot to be learned by cases like this. We've got a lot more cases in progress. We just did 2 more on semiconductors here. One on a very interesting company across the street from TSMC called Global Unichip. We've got a couple more